Hey guys, let's see, is it on the screen? Hey guys, welcome so much to the Blog Elevated Hangout on Air with Fred Goodall. He's from Mocha Dad. Hey guys. And then he also is from Mocha Man Style. He's a great father and figure in the blog community who knows what he's doing and works well with brands. That's why we want him to come with us today to discuss this with you, because he's just one of those influencers that you need to be watching, and you need to know how he is working with those brands every single day. He does it well, and they keep coming back to him. And then he also is from Mocha Man. Okay, so Fred, welcome to our chat today.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So why don't you start by introducing yourself right quick?
Well, as you said, I have my website, Mocha Dad, which I started in 2008. And I started the site because I was a new dad at the time, and I was looking for information online on how to be a father because, you know, kids don't come with an instruction manual. So I was trying to figure out how do you do this fatherhood thing, where can I find some info and information and resources. And back in 2008, there really wasn't a lot of information for dads. A whole lot of information for moms, but for dads it was quite limited. So I started writing down some of my thoughts and some of my experiences, hoping to let other dads see that, you know, I was out there doing this thing, you know, here's my experiences, here's what I was going through, and maybe they can connect and relate to some of the things that I was experiencing. And that did happen. I managed to connect with a good group of dads, and to this day, a lot of us are very close friends right now. We continue to support and encourage one another. But that's really the basis, and that continues to be the basis of the website, to really encourage dads, to let dads know that we're out there, we're encouraging one another, and to let society see dads are fully engaged and fully involved in their children's lives, and especially for, you know, all the companies and the media to see, you know, sometimes they may represent a skewed view of fatherhood, and my goal, and a lot of the other dads who are online, our goal really is to let these companies and brands and media see that guys are really engaged in their families, and we deserve respect, and we should be presented in a way that's very positive, in a way that's encouraging to families.
Yes, that's great. I love how all the dad bloggers are coming out lately and really taking charge of that and giving themselves a voice and getting going with that. So you've been really successful about representing brands in a fun and in a different way. We watched your campaign with Sea-Doo and some of the other just fun stuff that you do. So I guess our first burning question is, how do you get those really fun gigs, and how do you keep it fun while keeping your voice while representing the brand?
And it's every day is hard work to build those relationships with brands. You know, it's all about building relationships, building contacts, and making sure that people see your work and that your work remains genuine and authentic to who you are. When brands are seeking people to represent them and to work with, you know, it's not always all about the numbers and, you know, all these things that people get so caught up about. It's all about your voice. People are seeking you because you offer a unique perspective, or your audience is unique, or you've built a strong community that people really connect to. So that's one thing that I always advise people: always be true to yourself, always be authentic, always make sure that you're writing your blog for your audience, for yourself. Don't try and be like other people, because there are so many copycats out there. You need to be unique. You need to have your own voice. So when brands see that, they're really drawn to that, and they want these types of people to be connected with the brands. So I just try and be authentic, try and be myself, try and represent myself and my perspective, and maintaining your perspective throughout your blog is also a big thing. I've seen so many bloggers who started out with one perspective, and then I look at their blog a couple of years later, it's totally different. It's nothing like they started out with. So try and remain true to who you are, why you started blogging in the first place, because that's your unique, authentic voice. So keep doing that. The brands, will start to come. They will start to notice you, and you get to do some really cool things. You talked about the Sea-Doo thing that I'm working on right now. That's a very cool campaign. We went to Miami when this new Sea-Doo Spark was launched. We had a great time riding the things around Miami. Had a concert. It was a great experience, and afterwards, that's when the real work starts. That stuff is fun, and you get to do a lot of engaging things. But then you're expected to to do the work afterwards. So just making sure that you understand what the brand wants, why they hired you, what they expect, and make sure everything is written in the contract and what they expect, and make sure you deliver what's in the contract, because that's how you get repeat work. When they know you're reliable, you can do what's asked of you, and really read the contract. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. Read every part of the contract. If you don't agree with a part of the contract, you can negotiate those things. Some things maybe are non-negotiable, but you need to bring it up to make sure you and the brand are clear on what the expectations are. So make sure you work together, make sure that you can deliver the things that they expect of you, and make sure that you do it with your own voice.
Now, have you ever had to go back and renegotiate a contract? What did that look like?
Every single contract I get, I renegotiate it. There are a lot of, and bloggers need to really understand some of the legal terminology, what rights you're giving up, how much you're expected to do, what you're expected to do. A lot of the language that's in there, talks about, a length of duration that you're supposed to have a non-compete clause. So maybe you finish the campaign in September, but you can't do a similar campaign until next September.
Yeah, the non-compete clauses are tricky.
A lot of bloggers don't see that part of it. They need to understand that there's some exclusivity in some of these contracts that you really need to negotiate. I look for that immediately when I get contracts to make sure that, because it limits you if you have that type of contract, and if you want to do something exclusive like that, I recommend you negotiate that part out if you don't want to do it. But if you do, you may want to talk about some increased compensation, because it limits your opportunities in the future. So look at those contracts, make sure you're on track to deliver what you need to deliver, and communicate with the brands and talk about what the overall purpose of this is. What are they trying to accomplish? How can you help them accomplish their goals? Another thing that I had to learn the hard way, and I tell everybody to do this at the start of every campaign, is to ask the brand, what are some of the issues with your brand? What are some of the negative comments you get about your brand? What are some of the controversies about your brand? You need to talk about that up front, because I worked with one brand and I was very unaware of some of the things that there was quite a vocal community against this brand, and they started attacking me personally. I had to find out about what was going on. So really talk about those things up front, and you need to be sure that you're comfortable with dealing with some of this, because people online they have no heart. They will come after you and do nasty things and say nasty things about you. So make sure that you're comfortable with being able to defend the brand amidst these attacks.
Has any representative come back to you and been just really surprised that you wanted to renegotiate a contract, or been surprised that you wanted to change terms, or had a question about terms, or is that pretty much par for the course? Are you used to it?
Everybody expects that. I think everybody expects that in today's culture. I don't think anyone's ever been surprised.
A lot of bloggers now are working on campaigns without contracts, or going on sponsored trips without a contract. What advice would you give to those bloggers?
I think you need to have a contract just about everything that you do to set the expectations. Some people, maybe they go on a trip and maybe the brand expected them to write 3 posts from this trip. And like, whoa, I didn't know I was supposed to do all that. So I think you need to be very clear what the expectations are from the start.
When you do travel for a brand, what are some things that bloggers should make sure are covered, or that they know the answers to the details?
I mean, mostly when I travel for brands, I've limited travel to brands that I actually have contracts with. So it's pretty much explained in the contract from the start. There are so many blogger trips out there, just coming to our campus and let's do this, blah, 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 all that stuff. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But I think you need to be clear from the start. You know, are they paying for your travel? Are they paying for your accommodations? Are they paying for your food? All that stuff needs to be clearly understood from the start. Because you know, some of these brands only pay for certain things, and you're expected to pay the other things yourself. So you need to be very clear. For me, I don't want to go on a trip that I have to pay any money out of my pocket. If I have to do that, it's not worth it to me. So I think you need to be clear about those expectations and talk about those before you even go on the trip.
You mentioned at the very beginning, it's all about the relationship you develop with the representatives. What's the best way to find those representatives and kind of get your foot in the door and start developing a relationship with them?
I think you start. I mean, social media is a good place to start. If you're interested in working with a brand, follow their social media accounts, interact with them, and interact with them in a natural way. Don't just go up to their Twitter account. Hey, I love you. I want to work with you. Hire me. Don't do that. I mean, have a natural, you know, show some things that you like about the brand. Maybe if you use the product in your daily life, talk about how you use that product. Just make yourself known to them on social media, and they will, if you're authentic and true, and you know, they can see through these things. They can see through people who are trying to just, hey, I saw a lot of other bloggers go on this trip, and I want to go on this trip too. So they see through that kind of stuff. So just be yourself. Make sure you're producing good content. Make sure they're seeing the good content. If you've written a post about them, let them see it. There's nothing wrong with promoting some of the things you've done if it's actually true. You like this brand, you've written about this brand. Say, hey, I wrote about your brand because I really like it. Send them the link. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But just start building those relationships. Start talking to people, the marketing people that many brands, they want to get the brand out there and they want people to see it. So if you can find some of those people who are working in marketing or PR for the brand, try and connect with them. Let them know, here's my blog, here's what I can offer you, here's what you know, my audience seeks from me, and here's how I can deliver a good campaign for you. And you know, so many people are afraid of making that initial contact, but sometimes if you make that initial contact, some good things can happen out of that. So be confident in who you are, be confident with what you can deliver, and let the brand see it.
I love how you keep going back to be authentic, and that's a great message to bloggers. Sometimes we get swept away in sponsored posts, and we kind of say, oh, we love this product, it's our favorite, and then a few weeks later, some blogger will have another post, I love this product, it's my favorite, and it's competing products.
Right.
You
Yeah.
have to be authentic.
You know, the brands will send you information that they want. They'll send you all this stuff. Hey, you know, here's what we're doing for these posts coming up. But you know, and a lot of people just post that, and here it is. Here's the post for.
Yeah, they just throw the press release up, don't even change a word.
Right. I mean, I've worked on a lot of campaigns, and I always go and look at the other people who are working with me because I want to promote them first of all. But secondly, you know, it gets so redundant, and everyone's saying the same thing over and over and over and over. Like, come on, you know, you got to inject yourself into these posts. I mean, for every sponsored post, I don't want it to seem like a sponsored post. I want it to seem like it's something that I actually do, because I work with brands that I actually use and I actually would want to be a part of. So I incorporate that into my actual life. This is how I would actually use this. This is how I interact with what's going on, or this experience. This is how I really felt about it. You know, just be true. It can be fun, and you know, create some content that's fun and different. You can create content that's serious, but just don't regurgitate those press releases. Make sure that, you know, they, like I said at the beginning, you know, they hired you for a reason. They want your voice. Let them see your voice.
And your personality and your audience and your voice. So be. Right. So how do you have any quick and dirty tips to even find who represents different brands? Because usually it's not the in-house. They usually have a PR company or a marketing company that represents for them. Are there any easy ways to find out who's representing a brand that you want to work with, so you know who to reach out to and who to send your link to?
You know, a lot of these PR companies are sending out press releases And they may not have, who this is from. It just says at the top, press release from wherever. Scroll all the way to the bottom, and there will be who actually represents that brand, the PR contacts. So if that's something, a lot of us just automatically delete that. But I started kind of looking at it a little bit, like, hey, here's some contacts on here. If it's something that I'm very interested in, so scan those emails and see if you can find the people who are representing these brands. Uh, and like I said, sometimes just sending a cold email is, it'll get ignored most of the time. Just understand that. But sometimes, if you have a compelling sales strategy or pitch for them, they will open the email and they will contact you back. But the other thing people fail to realize is people you've worked with before are still good contacts to work with. They work on one campaign and suddenly it's over, or they have no more communication. Like, hey, that was a great campaign. What else do you have coming up? Like, let me know about some things in the future. I mean, keep those relationships going over and over and over, because the people you worked with before are your best source for future work.
Do you think your relationship with other bloggers has helped you get some sponsored campaigns? Do bloggers refer bloggers?
Certainly. I refer people to jobs. People have referred me to jobs. It's so crucial to have those good relationships. And when people get online and they want to attack each other and do all these other things, there's no benefit in doing that. The benefit is helping one another, making sure that we're all successful. If you know someone who's perfect for this campaign, maybe you can't work on it for whatever reason, but you say, hey, I know somebody else who would be a great fit for this. When you refer those people and that other blogger gets an opportunity, they're grateful to you. The person who contacted you is grateful because they were able to fill their slots for what they needed. And, everything works out great. So we need to continue to do these types of things to make sure we help one another, we promote one another, and it just benefits the whole industry.
Do you think meeting brand reps in person is important, or do you think you can develop that relationship just through email?
Now, you can develop it through email, but there's always benefit in meeting people face to face. After you've emailed people for a couple of years, and maybe you're at a conference or something and meet them face to face. I mean, there's a lot of power in that. Finally, you can see what this person looks like, and you can interact with this person face to face. And I think whenever there's opportunities to have face-to-face meetings, we need to take those. If you live in cities where these companies are based, or the PR companies are based, and you have that relationship, call up somebody you work with, go out for some coffee, have some lunch together, just have a conversation, build those relationships face-to-face, because that'll help a whole lot.
I agree fully. I think it's very important to get to know people, and also what you hit on is keep in contact with them. Once you finish a campaign with a PR person, if you haven't heard from them in 6 months and you liked working with them and they were easy to work with and worked well and stayed true to their word, send them another email just saying, hi, how are you? Haven't heard from you in a while. What's going on? Is there any way I can assist you? Always reach out to people and offer assistance. Right. Offer your work and help. I really like how you hit on that and touched on that, to keep in contact with those people.
Right.
What do you think is the #1 thing that most brands you've worked with really want from bloggers? Is it just access to our readers? Are they treating it as an advertising campaign? What are they looking for?
I mean, every campaign is really different. Some of them simply want some exposure for whatever product they're pushing at that moment. Like the thing I'm doing with the Sea-Doo, they just introduced this new product, so they want as many people as possible, especially people in my demographics, specifically dads with kids who want to go, do something fun with the family. They specifically want this type of audience, so they look to me to do something like this. For some, it's simply, hey, I just want you to, I just want access to your audience right now. So here's some information, and here's a campaign. It could be long term, or it could be something very quick where they're doing. But sometimes they just want access to your audience. So it really depends on each campaign now. I mean, some of the longer term campaigns that I've done that have been a year or more, I think they really want to build a relationship, not only with you, but also with your audience, and show a different side of the brand. Uh, maybe they could be introducing new products, or maybe it's just, hey, here's a brand you've known for years, but here's a different side of the brand. Let us show you that. So sometimes it's that. But really, like I said earlier, you need to understand what their goals are for this campaign from the start, so you'll know how to present it and promote it on your website, and you'll be clear of what it is they're trying to accomplish, so you can help them accomplish that goal.
So let's dive a little deeper just into you. What was one of your favorite campaigns that you've done?
I've had a lot of fun campaigns that I've done. One I actually did it's been a couple of years with Twizzler, and the goal of this one was to travel across the country. They had several bloggers doing several trips to significant places in the United States. They gave us this big red branded Twizzlers van to drive around the country. And this was so fun because, I'm driving my family around in this Twizzler van. People are driving down the street looking at us like, what is going on here? what's happening? Well, we went to Austin and we stopped at a restaurant. And I'm sitting, we're having dinner, and this guy walks up to our table. Hey, are you the guy in that Twizzlers van? Like, yeah, I am. Like, what's going on? Why are you driving that van? So I told him the whole thing, and then I said, hey, you want some Twizzlers? Like, yeah, I do. So I gave him and his kids. They were very happy. But that was fun, We got to do some travel together as a family. Got to actually meet a lot of people along the way because people kept walking up to us. Hey, what's the deal with this van? So we got to talk to a lot of people and communicate with them about what we're doing. So that was a whole lot of fun. That was one of the most fun campaigns that we did.
That sounds like fun. Free candy is always popular.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, and you got to hang out with my favorite person, Bat Dad.
Yeah.
Miami City. I'm insanely jealous. I love him.
It was funny, because you don't know who he is without that mask on. So we were standing around, and then he puts the mask on, and some other people who were out on the little island we were on, he put that mask on, and like, wait, that's Bat Dad.
So going to some of the more difficult things bloggers have to do with posts, have you ever had a brand ask you to do something that was either illegal or that would harm your site? For example, something that would be against Google's terms of service, or ask you not to disclose it was a sponsored post?
No.
And how would you handle that?
I haven't had anything like that. I think most brands I've worked with are pretty savvy about these things, so they're aware. But I have had some pushback on, certain things around the content to say, they want me to say a specific thing. I can't say that because that's not in line with what I would say or how I would say it. So I've had some pushback in there, and it's not always easy to come to terms on some of these things, but for the most part, we can come to an agreement that's good for both of us. Means if you're not uncomfortable with what they're asking you to do, you definitely need to talk about it. And don't ever get placed in a situation where you're doing something that compromises yourself, your ethics, your website, the law, anything like that. Make sure, and you need to tell them why you're not doing it, and explain it to them, because some people actually don't know. Last year I spoke to the Houston PR Association about many things around blogging and the law around blogging and some of the other ethical considerations. And it was like deer in the headlights. Like, many of them had never heard anything that I was telling them ever.
Right.
After I talked to them, they were coming up to me like, whoa, what was this thing you were saying? I had explained many things, and I was surprised because these are professional PR people, and they were unaware of many of these things. So part of our work as bloggers is to educate some of the PR people on what's ethical and what's not, and make sure they're clear on these things.
Right, because when they're hiring us, we're the professional bloggers, so we need to know our business.
Right.
And I think also that's another important contract detail is always look and see and make sure, if you can, get that language in there that you have editorial control over your site.
Right. Right.
Sometimes people want you just to post a blog post that they wrote, and I
Right.
won't ever do that because it doesn't
Right.
fit my audience.
Right.
So that editorial control is important.
Right.
What do you feel is the best way to respond to the brands that send out the emails asking for you to participate in a campaign but saying that they have no budget?
Well, I mean, for me, I tell them now it's not always so easy to just say no to certain things, because sometimes you may have a relationship with the person who's doing this, and for people I actually have a close relationship to, it depends on the thing. Sometimes I may do it because of my relationship with them, because I know later on they'll have something else for me that is a paid kind of promotion. But for people you have absolutely no relationship, you have to really think about, what is this? How can this benefit me? Because, we talk a lot about how it benefits the brand, but you also have to think about how does this benefit you by doing this for no pay. And sometimes it may be, some people want exposure. Maybe that's what you're seeking at that moment, and that's fine. If that's what you're seeking and that's what they're offering you, then maybe that's a good fit for you right then. Maybe it's a brand that you really, really love, and it could turn into something else later on, and maybe you want to get in on the ground floor while there's an opportunity to do that. Now, if that works for you, that's fine. But it's not always so cut and dry that so many people are like, hey, you got to pay me. I don't work for free. Right. You really have to think strategically about everything that's being offered to you and how can it benefit you in the future. Because a lot of people just look at some short-term goals and they don't think about how things can benefit them in the future and how it can help their blog to grow and develop and advance in the future. So really consider, if I do this, what's the benefit to me now and what's the benefit to me in the long term?
Have you ever taken a brand or a campaign that really caused you to stretch or do something that you had never done before? Maybe they asked you to vlog and you hadn't done that before, or like you said, taking a trip with your family in the Twizzlers fan. Is there anything that's helped you grow as a blogger and you were glad that you had that chance?
I think a lot of things. I mean, each new campaign, I try and do something different. I try and grow, and you'll see lately on the site, I've been doing a lot more videos on the site. So that's really to help me to become a lot more creative in that area. I did that, you may have seen that snowboard video I did when I was working with Kellogg's. I tried to do something a little humorous, a little fun, and something totally different from what anyone else was doing on that campaign. But just stretch yourself whenever you can with every campaign that you do, and not necessarily just the campaigns, just on your blog. Stretch yourself. Do something different. Do something you're not comfortable with. Try it. See what the response is. See what your audience thinks about it. Look at the final results. Are you proud of what you did? Is this something that you can continue to do? Is it getting some good engagement? Just make sure that you're constantly evolving and constantly doing something with your blog that is not stale and stagnant. Just make sure it's always fresh and unique.
Do you have any tried and true tips for how to keep things fresh and how to just keep things not boring? If you're not naturally funny, is it possible to be funny on your blog or for a campaign?
Don't try and force it. I mean, just one thing that I like to do is I try and go to different events, not necessarily with bloggers, but maybe with some tech people, or maybe with some movie makers, or with musicians. I try and see how they're using this space in different ways. I went to this one conference that was with musicians and movie makers, and I was blown away by their creativity and the way that they were doing things online and how they were engaging their audience. And it's like, wow, I can take some of those things that they're doing and put those into my blog. So I mean, try and hang around different types of people. Have different people in your circles. Talk to people with different perspectives, because I think this constant flow of information that's not in your same little silo really opens up your mind and gives you different ideas on how to do things. So many times as bloggers, we like to hang out with bloggers. Like, hey, let's talk blogger stuff. You need to spread out your circles and talk to other people and see how they're doing things, because other people have different creative answers that you may have a problem that's going on with your blog. You can't seem to get pushed past this one milestone, but you talk to somebody else like, hey, if I did that, I can get off this plateau and move to another level.
So we have a couple of questions from our audience. The first one is from Lisa Bedford. She writes at survivalmom.com. She wants to know if you have an agent or anyone else that helps you connect with brands.
I do not have an agent. I'm my agent. So,
do you have any lawyers that help you go over contracts, or are you just self-taught?
No, I'm self-taught. I did, for like 2 months, I did have a PR person who was helping me to do a couple of things because I was trying to do something strategic at that moment. But after working with that person for a while, I realized, I can do this myself. So, I mean, but if you need an extra push, and we all receive these PR pitches over the years, so you have to. If you're gonna hire an agent or somebody like that, you need to understand what it is they're gonna do for you. How are they really gonna help you? I know a lot of bloggers who have agents. The agents help them negotiate contracts, help them get deals, and kind of help them push them into the limelight. And that's fine. If you can do that, it's great. For some people, it's not really necessary. So before you go seeking an agent, figure out what it is you can do for yourself, and if you can't do all these things yourself, then you could look to somebody else to do that. I understand you have to pay this person; it's not free. They can expect a significant part of whatever they negotiate for you. So understand that from the start.
We have another question from Deborah Browser of travelbrowsingwithdeb.com, and she wants to know, is there a certain number of followers or certain size you need before brands will look at you? And how do you know when you're big enough to really start working with campaigns?
And there's no set number. Well, what brands are looking for, and some brands are looking for a certain number, so let's just be clear on that. Some brands are. I talked to one brand. They said that they were looking for like 10,000 people on social media for their particular whatever thing they were doing. But for a lot of the brands, they're looking for people that who have an engaged audience, people who have a unique voice, and people who can represent the brand well. That's what they're looking for. There are a lot of people with a whole lot of followers who can't represent the brand well, and who can't participate in these campaigns in a way that the brand wants them to. So you need to really work on your blog, work on building your voice, building your audience, and just doing something that people can really relate to, because that's what people really seek. They really seek people who are engaged with their audience and who can deliver some true engagement with whatever it is they want them to work with.
I think in general, when brands approach you, they already have an idea of your size, your reach, your audience. That's why they're coming to you. Right. So really the size matters when you are pitching a brand, is when I think it's more important. Larry, Texas.
All brands, they have access to tools where they can look up your site, they can look up your social media. They know all this stuff about you.
Yeah.
So just know.
They chose you for a reason, and they're coming to you for a reason.
Right.
Larry, Texas has a question. How do you balance the brand's personality with a request to make it viral?
I've never had a request.
Where they say, we want you to have a post and we want it to go viral. And, as a blogger, we want our post to go viral too, but we don't always have control over that. So how do you balance that request, or is that one of those negotiating contracts that you would work on before you even start?
I've honestly never had this request, and I don't even know how I would respond to that if they asked me to do that. If they're asking for, and we want this to go viral, that tells me that they're not really seeking authentic engagement. They're just seeking eyeballs. And I don't know if that's really something that I want to be a part of, because there's a lot of tricks in the trade to make stuff go viral, and people can do that easily. But I think what's more important is that authentic engagement. And you know, if they gave me, if they sent me that from the start, I think I may have to decline that.
Do you have any quick kind of tips for people if they do want to approach a brand and pitch them to work with them?
I mean, be professional, which is the first thing, because I talk to a lot of representatives who complain about bloggers not being professional, about bloggers feeling entitled to certain things. Uh, that's not the attitude to have, not at all. You have to be professional. Uh, some of these guys have told me some stories I can't believe. I was talking to a rep I worked with the phone company. Said some blogger sent him a request. Hey, I'm going on this trip, and you guys need to pay for it and give me one of these devices so I can, you know, document it. And I'm gonna need that pretty quickly because I'm going on this trip in about 2 weeks. Like, really? Wow. You really expected them to? Oh yes, yes. Let me do that. So that's not the way to approach somebody. Well, like we said earlier, make sure you start developing that relationship. It all starts with a relationship. It all starts with you making an authentic human relationship with somebody. You know, we get so caught up with online, we don't realize that there are humans on the other side of this computer. These PR people, the brand people, they all have a job to do. They all need to be successful with the programs that they're pitching to us. And we have to understand that, you know, their job is really to make this successful. And if they don't, there could be consequences in their workplace. So they're putting their faith in us. So we have to make sure that we're trying to help them as much as they're trying to help us. So building those relationships is very crucial. You know, going online and bashing brands and bashing PR people, that's not professional. That's not any way to do things. If you have a problem with a brand or with a person specifically, talk to that person. Like, hey, here's an issue I had with what you did or how you represented me or something that happened. Talk to that person. Don't go put everybody on blast online because no one responds to that.
Well, we are actually out of time. We're over our time a little bit. So we want to thank Fred Goodall of mochadad.com. You can find him on Twitter at Mocha Dad, for coming and sharing his wisdom with working with brands. And I have to say, if you want to meet brands face-to-face and make those relationships with other bloggers, there's no better place than Blog Elevated in Galveston in September. So I hope that we can meet you in person and develop those relationships with you there in September. And everybody that's watching, if you want to keep this conversation going, you can. We're going to put this on YouTube, so you can ask questions in the comments, or you can find Blog Elevated on Twitter and ask us a question with the hashtag anytime, because we love to help bloggers blog. Thanks again, Fred.
Thank you, Fred. All right. Y'all have a great day. Enjoy your day and get busy blogging.